Everyone enjoys getting out on the town for some live music. And there's nothing like going backstage and down the hall for a VIP pass to the inside information and interviews with the bands, singers, and songwriters that you enjoy. Welcome to Hall Around Town Radio's Backstage Hall Pass, a showcase of homegrown talent, mixing independent music with personal interviews and a behind-the-scenes look at our music community. Backstage Hall Pass is your front row center seat to some great conversation with the area's most talented artists. Whether you like rock, blues, folk, country, or R&B, Backstage Hall Pass delivers you a daily dose of the stories behind the music. And now, here's the host of our show, Scott Hall.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Waiting to see if the Book of Face lets us on live here. Hopefully, we will be in a moment. For those of you that are joining us out there, thanks for being here today. On a Monday, it's our weekend update here from Hall Around Town Radio, and our studio is located in beautiful downtown Springboro, Ohio. Hopefully, you're all doing okay out there. Let me see if we've got anything happening here. I still haven't been notified we went live, so hopefully you're all seeing us. Make a comment. Let me know if you're with us today. Jeff Edwards is in the house. Good to have you. Marie Smith, thank you. Well, somebody's watching on the Book of Face, so apparently it's there. I just can't see it. All right, we'll get back to it in a minute. I've got a special guest today. I'm going to bring him in just a while. You know, I can bring him in right now because we're going to talk about a couple of things here real quick. And with me today, joining me on the program is Mr. Jamie Combs. How you doing, Jamie?
How you doing, man?
What's going on, buddy? Not
much. Just enjoying a rare Monday off for me.
Coming off a big weekend of music.
Yeah.
We're going to chat about that here in just a minute. But hey, I've got tons of stuff. Here we go. Now I'm getting notified. So now we've got people probably. You know, you got to love the Book of Face, my friend. You never know what's going to happen.
When I go live, I don't know half the time if I'm live or not either. So I get it.
I know it's nuts. Let me pump your audio up a little bit so they can hear you here. Let's first of all, I want to thank everybody for watching the show on Thursday. 3,000 views. We were live from the Bell and the Bear. You joined us on that one. Karis was with us. She's a hoot as a co-host, just a blast. And we had a great time Thursday night. Epic ultimate jam, man. Wasn't it? I mean,
it was pretty intense. And I mean, in a good way. It was a lot of fun. I was exhausted at the end of the night. I normally hang around afterwards and, you know, say hi to people and talk and stuff. As soon as we were done, I was out of there. I barely made it home. I was so tired.
I don't know that did you take a break? Did you ever take a break?
One break when Gina got on stage with Johnny Fink.
Wow.
Because I knew that they could carry what they were going to do and I didn't have to be up there for a minute. So I took a song, I think, to use the restroom and grab a drink. And then I was right back on stage. That's the only break I took all night.
Yeah, it was nuts. Bell and the Bear is just a magical place. And I don't even need to talk about it today because I think everybody was there. So why even talk,
It was record setting attendance and numbers from what I understand. So I haven't got the official word, but that's what I've heard.
So damn cool. And, the house band, you guys, every week you amaze me with how you take songs that you've never played before together and you put it in a blender and all of a sudden you spit out this great drink. It's wonderful. And I mean,
I've never played the song before. I'm just hanging by the seat of my pants, but that's part of the fun of it.
Well, there's going to be hiccups, anytime you have those type of nights and sound things and all that. But man, it just seemed like Thursday was magical. And, Kathy Laverde, she's the bomb and does a great job of always putting the list together and playing bass. And Jim Cuesta, what can you say about him, man? But just unbelievable talent.
And that was the first time we've had the core band a couple weeks here and there. Like 1 week Jim wasn't there, 1 week I wasn't there, 1 week Kevin wasn't there, that type of thing. And that happens sometimes. But we actually wasn't supposed to be there this past Thursday. But once I realized what the date was and the significance of it, I made sure that I was there. So it made Kathy very happy because she's like, good, I don't have to worry about trying to find somebody to fill it. And we've already played with most of these people before. And, we kind of cheated a little bit. We didn't have like an open list like we normally do. We pretty much just planned the whole night. And it takes one to know one, my friend.
Chris Reese.
Crease.
Gotta love him. Hi, Jim McCarthy. Thanks for dropping by today. Scotty Long in the house. Thank you for being here. And Jamie Minnick. The lovely Jamie Minnick.
My fellow namesake.
So if you're out there, guys, make a comment. Let us know. Jamie and I are going to talk about something else totally unrelated to the Bell and the Bear in a minute, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk about it a little bit. And the people that played that night, and if I forget anybody, Jamie, correct me, throw it in there. But I know we had, Derek Davidson took over the keys and played with Gina McCann and Johnny Fink, Mickey and Mark from both Mickey from Strange Love and from Sweet Sister Mercy, Mark from Sweet Sister Mercy, Brandy Conero, Chelsea Calloway, Heather Mattingly, TJ, Rick Kern,
Dave Renee got up towards the end also because we had some time to get some people up.
Dave Wade,
Wade, Rick Kern,
and Rick Dews, who I dearly love. Man, what a great man he is. And
we're forgetting somebody, and I can't think of who it is, or it feels like we are anyway.
Did Charles make it? Did Charles make it late? Charles Moreno, did he make it late?
Late? Yeah, I think he came in late, honestly. The end of that's kind of foggy for me. Last half hour. So between the exhaustion and the Jaegers, I was running on empty, as Jackson Brown once said. So
you got the moves like Jaeger, my friend.
Yes,
you do.
I'm pretty sure that Cricket got footage of me dancing at one point. I vaguely remember that. So
you mentioned Cricket. Everybody there at the Bell and the Bear. What a great place, and a bunch of music fans. And we won't, like I said, we're not going to dwell on it anymore. But everybody knows Karis. Everybody knows her reputation and what a stellar business she runs. And I love being there on Thursday night with you guys, and the cool stuff. Her getting presented the poster that was made, signed by everybody, and then the obviously the guitar that was signed by the house band that Johnny Fink donated, and I thought that was really cool as well. So, and
that guitar is going to stay there hanging on the wall. So if somebody shows up and they don't have an axe, as long as they're right-handed, I can't use it, but anybody else can. So just feel free to pluck that off the wall and plug into an amp, and that's what we're going to do. That's why he left that. Hello, Kathy. There's the stage mom right there.
She is stage mom.
In the world.
like a strip club, but better.
She's the mother hen. She is.
She is, yes. And Kathy saying hi. Glenn checking in on the YouTube channel. Thank you. Don Hudson here. Got to mention those guys.
I was just going to say the second when horns were there, I always get a kick out of doing 25 or 6-4 with them. That's what. Not only do I get to act like Terry Kath for a minute, who's one of my favorite guitar players of all time, but it's really cool to be on stage with horn players that of their caliber, and just the way they sound is it's awesome. I'm so lucky when they get to come out and play. It's awesome.
Yeah, and the entire horn section basically from Second Wind there doing their thing, and that was so cool too. And it's just a wonderful night. And we'll talk more about the Bell and the Bear at future dates, as we always do. I want to thank everybody first and foremost for your over 100 comments on our post about who'd you see play out this weekend. There was a lot of music, a lot of people commenting. So thank you for that very much. We appreciate you throwing that in, and we're not going to read any of those today. I don't have time. Jamie and I have a lot to talk about here about something else. And I think it's going to get fun because there's a lot of people checking in on here who commented today that were interested in hearing our take on this show. So why don't we jump right into it and dive into it and say the stadium tour, Great American Ballpark.
Yeah.
It might as well have been called the all day tour.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I didn't even realize because I didn't get there until Joan Jett went on, but there was a band on before Joan Jett.
Yes. And from what I heard, the people that were there, this band was called Classless Act.
Yeah.
Everybody was raving about them. I'm sorry I missed them.
I know they're a new band, and I haven't checked into them yet, but my guess is that either they're managed by somebody involved in that stadium tour or whatever, and that's why they're on that, because I remember them showing commercials in between the acts, which I never thought I'd see a commercial at a rock show, but that's the thing now. And they were showing ads for that. So I'm definitely going to check them out when I get a chance, because the couple of snippets I heard I liked. And I actually saw the lead singer walking around just saying hi to people and, hanging out. He was being very cool.
I'm not so sure that may not be a pay for play situation too from somebody.
I wouldn't doubt if it is, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of exposure can you get playing with that group?
You can't. I mean, you're going out on your first major tour and you're playing stadiums. Not many bands can say that unless they get, picked up by somebody,
Exactly. So Joan Jett, let's talk about her first of all. And, Joan Jett, she had, what was it? I believe a 12 song set as an opener.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty killer. I mean, what'd you think of Joan?
Well, that's the first time I ever saw her. And she's, first of all, her band was killer. And she sounded amazing, played everything great. And, I mean, she still comes out there. I'm not sure of her age, not that it matters. You know, it's not the age, it's the mileage, as I say. But
well, she's got some miles too.
Yeah, but the fact that she comes out and does that in, you know, the day, like the heat's coming down, that's like the peaking heat part of the day, you know, and she just came out there and kicked ass. And it was everybody that I was hanging out with, which we just kept going, wow. That was pretty much the reaction her entire set. You know, every time she'd play a song, it was, oh, wow, you know. And I got there a little bit late. I missed her first 2-3 songs. And I heard, you know, by the time we walked in, she played like 3 more songs. So,
right.
But I heard the majority of her set, and I got to see about the last 4 or 5 tunes up close.
Yeah, she threw Cherry Bomb in, which I loved. I mean,
yeah, that was about the time we came in. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was song number 2 actually on her set list. But she, you know,
walking in there, I thought we missed more than that. Awesome.
All the old standards for her, you know, the Do You Want to Touch Me? Gosh, Everyday People she did. Crimson and Clover, which she absolutely slayed. And, you know, of course, you can't do a set with Joan Jett without I Love Rock and Roll. She had to throw that in there. And, you know, Hate Myself for Loving You, and ended the set with the whole thing with Bad Reputation. So,
yeah, it was a killer version, too. That was
was
versions I've ever heard of that.
I was pleased with it. You know, and you read reviews, and people are keyboard warriors. They get on there and review people. And, you know, all I got to say is stand up in front of, you know, 100,000 people and see if you can do what she's doing. You know, that's usually what I say. Well, everybody has a hiccup here and there, especially when you get playing for 40 plus years.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And a lot of that stuff, I mean, a lot of people don't realize the amount of setup and production that goes into a show like that.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Don. Thank you. I wondered.
My resident producer here, he's backstage doing all this. Thank you, Don.
I know several people in my association with Bronson Arroyo. I know several people at the stadium, and I ran into several of them during the day, and I asked them about it. I was like, so when did they start setting this up? Yesterday, day before? And they said, oh, no, they've been here since Monday. Because they had to bring in all of make sure all the power's clean, make sure they got enough power, setting up the stage, getting all the catering together. Apparently they had close to like 50 vehicles they had to rent just to, you know, for all the production and the bands and so forth and so on. And again, you're there all day long. And it's to me, to pull off a thing like that. And when the bands come in and do their thing and get out as well as they did, I didn't have complaints about any of the bands, really. I mean, apart from, well, I'll get to it when we talk about Crew, but which I'm sure everybody. But speaking of keyboard warriors, leading into the Crew thing, the bombs that went off, the smoke bombs in the beginning of their set. As we're walking through that, I looked at my friend Richard that was kind enough to take me with him to this, and I said, I guarantee you tomorrow people are going to be complaining.
Said the same thing.
And sure enough, the next day I saw 7 or 8 people complaining about that.
Yeah.
So, you know, so you can't please anybody anymore. I'm sure I probably upset somebody with the Elvis shirt somewhere. So you can't please anybody anymore.
I saw a post from somebody and he said, oh, they did the smoke purposely to cover up Vince's fat and the Mick Mars's scary looks. And I said, why would they put Mick Mars on the 400-foot big screen if they were afraid of his looks? I mean, he does look like he's embalmed but forgot to die. I mean, I will say that. But
he's definitely got like a Karloff thing going or something.
And we'll get to that here. But let's talk about our friend Bret Michaels and Poison. I've done a lot of shows with Bret Michaels in the past, and he's a super nice guy. Mm-hmm. One of those guys that you never forget when you meet him, because when you see him interviewed on TV or YouTube, if you watch any of those things, he's the same kind of guy as he is in those interviews. He just sits down, chats with you. He's pretty cool and all that. Interestingly enough, I saw a couple of your comments, which kind of sparked me into bringing you on the show today.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, Brett did a show with us one time we were doing, and he did 55 minutes, and the crowd was not happy with 55 minutes.
Yeah.
This show, they threw in 9 acts for Poison. 2 of them were solos. So let's go to say 7-song set.
Yeah.
That one was they had plenty more music they could have played. And I don't know the time on the tour. And you don't know how much time they're given. Joan Jett did 14 damn songs though. So, how can they do a short set like that?
I vaguely knew the set times going in. I wasn't sure. But that was my first time ever seeing Poison. But I have several friends who have worked with Poison. Actually, my friend Todd Weber was guitar teching for them that day. He was guitar teching for them and Motley Crue. From what I understand, that's a pretty typical set from them. They do the same 10 to 12 songs every time. There's always a drum solo bit. There's always a guitar solo bit. And I know a lot of that sometimes is to kill time, to either give Brett a break or give them a breather or whatever. I know that Brett has had some serious health issues recently. I mean, he's had serious health issues for a long time, but I know they've been extremely bad recently. So the fact that he went out there and did that, and it looked like he was just the happiest guy in the world to be there. He really did. He exuded like perfect frontmanness, as it were. I mean, he really, if he didn't want to be there, he really made you believe he wanted to be there. But he came out and did a great job. But my only consideration of that is maybe it had to do with what he's been through recently. Maybe they said, hey, you need to, shave it off a little bit. And
yeah, you never know what's going on with him.
You never know.
It could be a day where he just said, I just don't feel so good and I want to cut this short. And that's cool. I mean, I respect it. He's been doing this 42 years and they did the songs. The only song they didn't do was their obscure one that everybody loves called Unskinny Bop.
Oh, yeah. I saw a lot of complaints about that, too. People were expecting them to go into that out of Ricky's drum solo. And speaking of which, I know Ricky's had some health issues, too. So, I mean, those guys.
He's battling cancer. I mean, he's up there playing.
That's probably got something to do with it. And I was teasing them about, I did post on Facebook, CC, is the guitar solo really necessary? But I get that he's doing that to show his influences and, because he does little bits from other guys' stuff, notably Eruption from Eddie Van Halen. But, I know that that's just, and a lot of people expect that and they want that. But I also know a lot of people would rather hear a couple songs, instead of a drum solo or whatever, But I was happy. I got to see Fallen Angel, which is probably the one tune I like the most from them. So I was a happy guy. I was like, oh, okay, I can go home now. Oh, wait a minute. I can't. There's two more bands. But by that time, I was getting pretty tired.
So look what the cat dragged in. Ride the Wild, or I'm sorry, Ride the Wind. Talk Dirty to Me. Your Mama Don't Dance, which I could have done without. That's just me. I mean, that's, it's a cover, but good for Loggins and Messina for doing that song. And, then the guitar solo, I did like the respect they threw Eddie Van Halen on the screen with the guitar layover and all that. That was cool. Fallen Angel, obviously great song. Ricky's drum solo. Yeah. I mean, that it wasn't long. So that was probably best. It wasn't like one of those that goes 14 minutes or anything.
No, that was like his Peter Criss drum solo. That's what I referred to it as. I thought it was well done, but it was nice and short. It didn't go on for 5-6 minutes,
Now, if they'd have left Every Rose Has Its Thorn out of the set, people would have rioted. Yeah, that's the one song that anytime Bret Michaels plays, he's got to do. I don't care if it's a solo deal or whatever. And he did it well, and then ended with Nothing But a Good Time. I mean, what a way to pump the crowd up a little bit.
And you said that's a song that he always has to do. Every one of those bands that played that day, they all have songs they have to do no matter what.
Right. It's like Home Sweet Home.
Exactly. Motley Crue didn't do Home Sweet Home. If Def Leppard didn't do Pour Some Sugar on Me, I mean, like I said, Joan Jett has to do I Love Rock and Roll, and she's got 3 or 4 of them. Crue has 3 or 4 of them. Poison, I mean, every song they came out and played was a bona fide hit song. They didn't really go deep in the catalog or anything, which I know a lot of people wish they would. But I'm pretty sure they're coming back later on in the year, and they're doing their own headlining stuff. So hopefully,
I think they're coming to Belterra, actually.
I believe so. So hopefully they'll reach a little deeper into the catalog when they come back.
Well, there's Jim right there saying they're playing September 16th, Belterra. Look at that. It's like you got ESPN or something.
Well, Jim. But is that a solo show? Or is that a Poison show, Jeff?
Yeah, I don't know. But I've seen Brett play. He had Eric Brittingham from Cinderella with him once when he's got a great killer band. It is. So let's move on. Thank you to Poison. Arguably the best glam band of ever, just because of that persona. They fit that mold so well. Let's move on, though, to Motley Crue. And I was tossing it up whether they were going to have Motley Crue or Def Leppard close the show. I know they alternated often.
Yeah, Crue closed the night before in Cleveland, so they flip-flop every show.
And either one of them can close a show and do a great job. But let's talk about Crue for a minute. First of all, let's talk about backing tracks for a minute. Okay?
Okay.
What's your opinion, Jamie Combs, your opinion on backing tracks?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they were definitely playing.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't any fakery going on there. Joan Jett and Poison both had visible keyboard players on stage, albeit they were in the back. but they were playing and they were in the mix and they were both doing background vocals. Crew, I didn't see any keyboards, but there obviously was some keyboard stuff going on, during Home Sweet Home mainly. Tommy's playing the piano part, but there was a string part happening behind him. Right. And I could tell that they were playing to a click on some songs because, God love them, every time they played to the click, they would all start rushing the beat and getting ahead. And like Tommy would have to yank Vince back in because Vince was getting ahead. But even when they weren't playing to a click, they were playing stuff super fast, which they always have. That's just kind of their thing, They're not a perfect band, and but they do a good job and they do what they do. I mean, they're Motley Crue. No one else does what they do. Right. But I think that definitely, perhaps, maybe the Nasty Habits, isn't that what they were called? The backing singers. I don't think maybe they were singing all the time. I think maybe at least their background vocals were piped in. And if they were singing, I think they were piping background vocals in addition to what they may have been singing on top of it. But some of those mixes were just a little too pristine, especially when Crew came on and I noticed all the top end disappeared. Same thing happened with Poison. It came back when Def Leppard came on. I don't know if
I noticed that too.
But it sounded to me like maybe an amplifier blew or something, and then like part of the line array went out or something. But still sounded good, but you just lost a lot of top end. And but the girls' vocals were always, and plus they were doing all that dancing, on top of it.
Well, you can call them what you want. Nasty habits, hot chicks in good outfits, whatever you want to call them. Okay.
It's part of the chick, man. They got to have girls up there, right?
Oh, and they did a great job. I mean, the girls, they made it. I mean, and that's why the cameras were on them the whole time. And where I was sitting in the cheap seats, man, I wasn't watching the show from the point of stage because I needed binoculars for that. But I was seeing it on the screen, and they did a great job of the video production was stellar.
Oh yeah,
I mean the cuts and the things were really good. But I don't care. If somebody's using a backing track, as long as they're playing guitar, as they're playing guitars on the thing and all that, it doesn't get me as upset as it does like Eddie Trunk and people like that who lose their mind over it. But, these guys been doing it, like I said, 42 years. They're going to have hiccups. And Vince, I've seen Vince. I saw him solo open for Sammy Hagar. And frankly, he was horrible there. He missed every third word. He was just not on his game. I thought he was on his game on Saturday.
I think he did a great job. I mean, he's not perfect, but I've seen Crew 4 or 5 times. And the one song that I have consistently
it was not the ones from the 80s. It was
not them.
A different group of girls. Trust me. The 80s girls would have been called the Saggies or something, I think, at this point. But,
Nasty Saggies.
Yes.
I lost it. Jennifer totally got me with that. Oh man. Forget what I was going to say now. But anyway, the backing track thing. If the band's playing, like you said, I don't have a problem with it. If you're piping in a keyboard part, like as an auxiliary thing, because you don't want to hire a keyboard player to play 3 parts or whatever that you need for that show. I get it. Background vocals, I'm on the fence about it because
that bothers me a little too.
I mean, I'm pretty positive. I know for a fact that Def Leppard was singing all night long because I was luckily close enough that I could actually hear sound coming off the stage. So I could hear that they were actually singing. But there was some definite Mutt Lange background vocals going on.
Absolutely.
So I think that they were piping stuff in addition, and they were singing on top of it, which I don't have a problem with that necessarily. I mean, the show that they put on, that's what they do. Crew, it's kind of weird. They, we expect them to sound rough and tumble. That's what I was saying about Vince. The one song I've seen him nail consistently is Live Wire, and that's way up there. But I think he's got a head voice that once he stays on that, area, he's fine. It's when he's got to jump around and go up and down a lot. I think that's when he has issues. But as he's walking around and doing his thing, he just starts rushing and getting ahead of the beat, and then he has to stop. I mean, I know they definitely muffed up the beginning of Live Wire because Tommy and Vince weren't in sync, but then they caught up. And I know there was also some guitar issues going on too. Right. I felt from my friend Tom that was dealing with that. I'm not sure what was going on, but I know at one point Tommy yelled for him to come on because they were holding up the show, and they didn't finish Live Wire because of that reason. They didn't do the last little false ending or whatever. He just said, come on and move along. And then, of course, Tommy comes out and does this thing about ladies. and
right.
Mickey had to say, the MF word ever so many times, and so it was a typical Crue show. But I liked the song selection. I thought they did a good, good set list.
I agree 100% with you. And I will say, though, there was one total screw up during the Crue show, and it was whoever was running video production who took that first shot of the female anatomy that was being shown. Whoever if she's watching, I'm really sorry, but keep those things under cover, please. All right.
If you were going to bring that up, everybody around me just kind of went,
yeah. I'm glad I'd finished my beer, because my beer was empty and I had something. If I needed to throw up in it, I could have. But Lord, yeah, she was, that was rough, but then it got better. It did. Yeah. And then they had to show the guys. They do that at a lot of their shows.
That was pretty funny. Yeah. I actually saw a couple guys that I knew.
Didn't Jason make it on there?
Jason made it on the big screen again. And I do believe he flashed his, if I'm not mistaken.
I got to get him on the show one day, because I want to know how he ends up front row at every damn show in the nation.
He spends a lot of money. That's what
I was going to say.
Saw him talking about the prices for the tickets that he had, and I was in around the same area he was. He was a little closer to the center stage. I was a little farther to a stage right front of house left. But he was talking about how he bought those tickets 2 years ago and they were like $750 or something, and then the day of the show they were trying to get $1,250 for them. And He was saying that, I'm lucky enough that I can afford to do this, but somebody else who wants to go see a show like this, it shouldn't cost you your entire paycheck to go see a show, and then on top of it, if you buy anything to eat, if you buy anything to drink, whether it's alcohol or not, if you want to get a souvenir as a tour shirt or whatever, you add all that stuff on, and it's astronomical. The amount
two draft beers, $28. I mean, and we were up in the Fox Sports Club, and we had a beautiful place. They feed you all that for your tickets, and that's a fun place to see a show. But you're a long way away, and we had padded seats and a dead pigeon beside us, and things like that. But it's just those things that go on at a rock show. But let's finish up on Motley Crue here. I like the video from The Dirt. I like their little promotion on that. So anybody in the stadium that hadn't seen it kind of got enticed to go watch the movie. Mm-hmm. And Machine Gun Kelly doing in his little, you could tell that was a total track. Yeah. But
obviously, that was one of the tunes where it was obvious they were playing to a click track because they had to keep slowing down, to keep in time with it. But they did a good job. That was actually the first time I had heard that track all the way through. And I thought they did a killer version of it. And I thought it was cool they did Saints of Los Angeles, too, because that was a very underrated record, in my opinion.
Yes, and I have to say they ended it up, Jamie, with Kickstart My Heart, which they do a lot. I mean, that's kind of their ending song. Yeah. But I thought that was just, the production was off the hook.
It was killer. I mean,
the lights, the sound, the whole bit, if you like, if you like that kind of rock, and you like the 80s, and I hate that term hair band, so I won't say that. But if you like the 80s metal, as it was called, so to speak, that's the song you want to hear.
Oh,
and it's awesome.
And it sets you up for, there's another band coming on still, and everybody was buzzing. Everybody was so excited after they finished and waiting for Def Leppard to come on. And then when they put the countdown up on the screen showing when Def Leppard was coming on, like I physically felt like the tension in the stadium rise. It was really cool. And that
was a great idea, by the way. I like that idea.
Yeah, it is. A lot of bands have been doing that over the last few years to like, hey, by the way, or like Motley Crue and Poison did, where they'll play an entire song by another band at full volume to let everybody know that, hey, this band's about to come on.
Right. Well, let's
Kiss used to do that. I was waiting for Gary to come up and say that Kiss used to do that with Won't Get Fooled Again. But they were pretty much one of the ones that kickstarted that off, in my opinion. I don't know if they were the first ones to do it, but they made it a part of the presentation when that as soon as Roger Daltrey did that scream, they raised the volume about 10 decibels to gig level volume. And that Kiss is about to come on. And it was really cool. They did the same thing with Poison and Crue before they came on.
Well, all I got to say about the Crue is I hope Mick Mars is really alive when he's playing up there. He does not look like it, however. He sounded great. Yeah. And I've got to give props to Vince. Everybody gets on him, I'm an old fat guy too. And, you put on the weight. He works hard to be able to run on that stage like he's doing and all that. He's got some stamina, man. He's still doing it.
I give him all the kudos. He didn't sound that bad. Did he sing perfect? No. He's Vince Neil. He never sings perfect. You listen to the records, it's not perfect.
He didn't sing perfect in the 80s. But
that's just it's kind of like people comparing, when they talk about David Lee Roth, oh, Dave was Dave, but that's what he does. But he went out there, he looked good. He looked like he was having a good time. There's nothing more I enjoy than seeing a band enjoying what they're doing. And all 4 of those bands looked like they were having fun that day at all points during the show.
Absolutely.
Brett smiles the whole time and talking to people in the crowd during the songs. CC was always smiling. The same thing with Crew. Vince went out there and was smiling at people. And, even Nikki was being a little more less Nikki than normal.
Yeah, I noticed that too. He was actually, other than the, like you said, the 44, I'm going to be 44 of them MFers on stage. Yeah. He loves to do that. And that's his thing. And I laugh at some of the people who had their little kids there. I saw them holding their hands over their ears during that. And it was like, you brought your kid to a Motley Crue show. Did you not know what was going to happen?
Let alone what's going to happen in the crowd.
Yeah. So let's hit Def Leppard real quick because I've got a few minutes left here. Let's talk about Def Leppard. 17-song set, long set. This concert started at 4:30 with Joan Jett, ended at 11 on the button, 11 o'clock on the button. So, everything they've ever had. And all I got to say about Def Leppard is I was amazed by the vocals. And
he sounded great.
My God,
he absolutely sounded great.
Yes. And he was singing. That was not a track that, I can tell you that from where, and they don't leave the video on you if you're tracking a lot, that's the other thing. And zoom in on your face and your lips and all that. This was perfect vocals.
Well, like I said,
fantastic.
I was lucky enough to be close enough to the stage that I could actually hear the sound coming off the stage. I could hear him like singing. So he was powerfully singing into the microphone. And Rick Allen had a smile on his face the whole time. It was so fun to watch him play drums. It was absolutely a joy. And that was the second time I've seen Def Leppard. And their show is one of the most incredibly well-produced, top-notch shows I've ever seen in my life. It's just down to the lights and the performance and how they carry themselves and the song selection. The fact that they're playing new songs and they got a new record out. I know a lot of people weren't that into it, but even at the end of it, Joe Elliott said, "Thank you for listening," which I thought was really cool.
Because he knows everybody's going to get a beer when he says, this is a new song off our new album. It happens.
It happens. And I even thought it was cool that they were brave enough, in my opinion, to come up front and do that little acoustic set of 2 songs.
Yes.
I mean, that was a risk to do in a loud stadium like that. And they pulled it off and sounded great.
It was so good. And you don't realize till you sit down and I have to be honest. I've loved Def Leppard for a long time. I've never seen them in concert till the other night. And
it's amazing.
You start thinking of how many hits they had and they start playing these songs and you're like, another one, there's another one. 17 songs in their set. And Rick Allen's drum solo was cool. And the way they had the cameras on him and all that was really cool to see how he does what he does with that disability he has. And he doesn't miss a beat, literally, no pun intended.
He's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy, but vocals perfect. And it was a great way to end the night. I thought little rain shower started right at the very end, but no weather. The thing went off without a hitch. I mean, and that big a production, you typically think, oh, we're going to have a lot of sound issues. We're going to have this. Def Leppard sound was CD quality in the place.
Pristine. It was absolutely pristine. And I actually walked around during their set, kind of like from one end to the other, just because I wanted to hear what it sounded like. And there wasn't a bad spot in that stadium that sounded bad when they were playing. Their sound, kudos to their front of house guy, because it was just absolutely one of the most well done things I've ever seen. And like I said, their production, just down how do they present themselves. And, obviously they've been doing it a long time and they've got it down pat. But Crew has been doing it a long time too, but they're still kind of ragged in things that they do, but that's part of their charm. Def Leppard comes out and it's just like, sleek and not a note out of place. Vivian Campbell sounded amazing.
Yes.
Phil Collins sounded amazing. And Rick's vocals with Joe's were great. And like you said, every song, hit song. I mean, 5 of them were probably off Hysteria, but still either way.
I did notice that Mutt Lang harmonies getting pushed in there somewhere, though. There had to be some of that going on. But as for the lead vocal, it was there. And you could tell just by the timing that he wasn't tracking that, because there were times he'd be a little bit off of the track or whatever they were doing with the harmonies in the background. But killer night, man. And what would you give it on a 1 to 10 for the stadium? I mean, who puts together a tour like that? I mean, that's crazy.
People that are slightly insane, believe it or not. But they have a great team of people working with them. And that's what that is. Those shows, If it wasn't for the crews of all of those bands and the production, those shows would never go off the way they do. So they've got one of the best crews in the business, obviously. And I mean, I give it a 10, honestly, just because of the variety from Joan Jett to Def Leppard. And all the bands sounded great. There wasn't any like crazy, crowd issues or anything. Everybody was cool. People were looking out for each other. Everybody was having fun. It was so cool to see people, either reliving, being nostalgic, or I had a couple in front of me that had 2 young kids. One of them was 14 and he's like a drummer and a guitar player. And the other one was like 9 years old. And they knew every song from Crew and Def Leppard. They knew every word and every fill. So, it's the parenting done right as far as I'm concerned. But, it was just, and it sounded great. It was a stellar show.
So there you have it. Jamie Combs gives it a 10. And that's the JC seal of approval. And so many moving parts to this show, man. And it went off so good. Now, getting out of Cincinnati afterwards, I don't even want to talk about that. We were in a parking garage and we pulled out of the parking place, sat there for 45 minutes, never moved an inch. So yeah, we should have probably gone to the banks and just sat there.
It took me about an hour to get home, but I had to make a stop at somebody else's house first. But still, we sat there for about a half an hour before we got out. But we also parked a couple blocks away, so we had to walk a bit. So I think that's the only thing that helped us.
Well, Jamie, I thank you for joining me. I've got a few more things to talk about, so I'm going to let you go because you weren't there and you don't care.
Thanks for having me, man. It's good to see you. We'll move on.
Good to see you. I'll see you Thursday. Well, I may not see you Thursday. So.
I will not be there this Thursday because I'm going to see Adrian Ballou at the Ludlow Garage. However, that is an early show, and once that's finished, will be at the Bell and the Bear. But I probably won't be there until the last half of the set.
But you'll be there tomorrow, right?
Yes, I will be there tomorrow, 8:00.
Shameless plug for Jamie Combs doing his acoustic thing every Tuesday at the Bell and the Bear. Check him out.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate you, my friend. I'll let you go.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, guys, we are going to talk about a couple more things. I have so much more to talk about. We've gone way long with that concert review. I do want to mention here, we will tomorrow bring you some more about our time with Drive on Saturday night at Heather's. Let me real quick throw in, Drive is made up of Dale Buckner on lead vocals, Bob Mack on drums, Don Rumford on keyboards, Doug Hall on guitar, which I hadn't seen in a long time. Doug was back with them. And Rick Keaton on guitar, playing with one arm. Unbelievable. Uses a prosthetic device to play the guitar, and Jim Klontz on bass. I will go through their set list tomorrow on the show and talk about them, but we don't have any time left today to get to that. And then also our review of the Elvis movie, which we're going to talk about tomorrow, and bring you Top 5 Tuesday with your favorite Elvis songs of all time. We'd love to have you throw those in there. So thank you, Lisa, for that. We appreciate it. I think it was an excellent review by Jamie as well. And I agree with everything he said. And it's, musicians tend to pick shows apart. And he's one of those guys that appreciates good musicianship, and he did. And I appreciate Jamie for being a part of the show today. And Jamie Combs, if you don't know him, guys, he's playing out there with all kinds of projects. Follow his page and give him a like and a listen, because he's a huge talent in the Cincinnati area. Cincinnati's best musician, voted actually that. So that's cool stuff. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you so much. Mark Robinson. Thank you. And Mark, I'm trying to find the file I want to send you. I'm getting to that. I'll get to it here afterwards today if I can. The file is on my board, and I'm going to have to download it back off of there and get it to you. Jennifer Cuesta, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, and thank your lovely husband for being a great player out there as well. So tomorrow, guys, Top 5 Tuesday, we'll do the Elvis movie review and the top Elvis songs. We won't give anything away for you, but I think you all know how the Elvis movie ends. That's just the way it works. Lisa says, love Jamie Combs. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you for being here. We're going to get out of here today, and I want to thank you all for watching. We're not going to even play any what's going on. Jim is on, and guys from Drive, I'm so sorry if you were on here watching. I tried to get to it, but we just ran way long, and nobody wants to be here after 39.15 minutes. And Drive, we'll talk about their set list. We'll talk about them. Great band on Saturday night at Heather's, and we'll bring it to you tomorrow at Top 5 Tuesday, along with our Elvis songs. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. I'm Scott Hall, your host. We're signing off for now. Bye-bye, everybody. See you, Don Hudson. Thank you.